Part 1. The biggest misunderstanding about starting SAP. 1. Introduction. Why most people start SAP the wrong way. Many people decide to start SAP for one simple reason. They hear that SAP pays well. This is not wrong, but it is incomplete. SAP is not a career where income comes from simply knowing the system. SAP is a career where income comes from understanding responsibility inside complex business environments. The biggest mistake beginners make is assuming SAP works like other technical skills. I learn the tool, I get the job, I grow naturally. SAP does not work this way. This misunderstanding is the root cause of early frustration, slow career growth, underpaid SAP consultants, people quitting SAP after 1 to 2 years. Before talking about modules, certifications, or salaries, this fundamental misunderstanding must be corrected. 2. SAP is not a tool-driven career. Most beginners approach SAP like this. Which transaction should I learn? Which configuration screen should I memorize? Which course covers the most content? This approach is logical, but wrong. SAP is not primarily a tool-driven career. It is a process-driven and risk-driven career. SAP exists to support and control financial flows, supply chain operations, sales processes, production planning, legal and compliance requirements. The system is only the representation of these processes. When beginners focus only on screens and steps, they miss the real value layer. Why does this process exist? What happens if this step fails? Which business area is affected? Without this understanding, SAP knowledge stays shallow. 3. Why learning how? Without why creates weak consultants. SAP beginners often learn how to create a document, how to post a transaction, how to configure a setting, but they don't learn why the document exists, why that posting is required, why the configuration matters. This creates a dangerous situation. A consultant who knows how but not why, can follow instructions, can execute tasks, cannot evaluate impact. In real SAP projects, execution alone is not enough. Clients and managers expect consultants to answer questions like, what is the risk if we change this? What happens downstream? Will this affect reporting or compliance? If you cannot answer these questions, your value and salary remains limited. 4. SAP careers are built around responsibility, not knowledge. One of the most important things beginners should understand is this. SAP consultants are paid for responsibility, not for knowledge. Knowledge is assumed. Responsibility is rare. In SAP projects, responsibility means understanding the full process, not just your task, anticipating issues before they happen, communicating risks clearly, taking ownership when something goes wrong. Beginners often try to avoid responsibility. They say, this is not my area. I just followed the requirement. I was not responsible for this decision. This mindset protects comfort, but it destroys long-term career growth. 5. Why SAP feels confusing in the beginning and why that's normal. Many beginners feel lost in their first SAP experience. They think, I'm not good enough. Everyone else understands this. Maybe SAP is not for me. This feeling is normal. SAP systems are large, interconnected, context-heavy. No beginner sees the full picture at the start. The mistake is not feeling confused. The mistake is trying to escape confusion instead of working through it. Strong SAP consultants are not those who understand everything early. They are those who stay long enough for patterns to appear. 6. The real expectation gap. Let's address the expectation gap directly. Beginner expectation, clear instructions, linear learning, fast progress, SAP reality, incomplete requirements, changing scope, conflicting business demands. SAP is not a classroom environment. It is a living business system. If you expect clarity before action, SAP will feel painful. If you accept ambiguity as part of the job, SAP becomes manageable and profitable. 7. What beginners should focus on. Instead of focusing only on transactions, configuration paths, certificates, beginners should focus on understanding business processes, asking why questions, observing how decisions are made, learning how SAP supports real operations. This mindset shift changes everything. How fast you grow, how much responsibility you get, how your salary evolves. Before starting SAP, you must understand one thing clearly. SAP is not about mastering a system. It is about mastering how businesses operate through that system. If you start SAP with this understanding, learning becomes meaningful, confusion becomes temporary, growth becomes predictable. In the next part, we will address another critical mistake: choosing an SAP module for the wrong reasons. In part 2, choosing the wrong SAP module and how it can cost you years. Part 2, choosing the wrong SAP module and how it costs you years. 1. Why which SAP module pays the most is the wrong first question. One of the first questions beginners ask is, which SAP module pays the most? This question is understandable, but it is the wrong starting point. Because SAP salaries are not driven only by the module itself. They are driven by responsibility, business impact, ownership, depth of expertise. A wrong module choice does not just delay your salary growth. It can lock you into a path that is difficult to escape later. That is why this decision must be made strategically, not emotionally. 2. The most common module selection mistakes. Let's start with the most common mistakes beginners make. Mistake 1. Choosing based on internet hype. Many people choose modules because FI always pays well, is everywhere, ABAP is future-proof, BTP is trending. Trends change. Market needs shift. Your career lasts years, not months. A module that looks attractive online may not be suitable for your skills or mindset. Mistake 2. Copying someone else's path. Another common mistake is copying a friend or influencer. They say, "My friend learned SD and earns a lot." What you don't see: their background, their communication skills, their project exposure, their personal strengths. Same module does not mean same outcome. SAP careers are personal, not template-based. Mistake 3. Avoiding difficult modules. Some beginners avoid modules because they seem complex, numbers, heavy, communication intensive. Ironically, these modules often have higher long-term ceilings. Avoiding difficulty early may feel safe, but it limits growth later. 3. SAP modules are not equal in responsibility. Not all SAP modules carry the same type of responsibility. This matters more than popularity. Finance modules, F/CO. High financial risk, legal and compliance impact, strong audit exposure. Mistakes here are expensive. That's why experienced FI consultants are valued. But FI is not just numbers. It requires structured thinking and accountability. Logistics modules, MM/SD/PP. Operational continuity, customer satisfaction, supply chain stability. These modules are deeply connected. A mistake in one area often affects others. Strong logistics consultants understand end-to-end flow, not isolated configuration. Technical modules, ABAP/integration. System stability, performance, data consistency. Technical consultants grow fast early but hit a ceiling if they ignore business context. 4. The right way to choose an SAP module. Instead of asking which module pays the most, ask these questions instead. Question 1. How do I think? Do I like structured logic? FI/CO. Do I like processes and flow? MM/SD. Do I like problem solving in systems? ABAP/integration. Your thinking style matters more than market trends. Question 2. What responsibility can I handle? Each module comes with pressure. Finance, legal and audit pressure, logistics, operational pressure, technical system failure pressure. High salaries follow pressure tolerance. Question 3. Can I go deep in this area? Depth creates value. It is better to master one module deeply than to touch 5 modules superficially. Deep expertise leads to ownership. Ownership leads to trust. Trust leads to higher pay. 5. The hidden cost of a wrong module. Choosing the wrong module does not fail immediately. It fails silently. Symptoms appear after 1 to 2 years of work, slow learning, lack of motivation, limited responsibility. People then say, SAP is boring. SAP is not for me. Often, SAP is not the problem. The module choice is. 6. Switching modules is possible, but costly. Yes, you can switch modules, but it comes with costs. Starting again as junior, losing seniority perception, slower salary progression. That's why getting it reasonably right at the start matters. Perfect choice is not required. Strategic choice is. 7. A practical framework for beginners. Here is a simple framework. Step 1. Choose one core module. Step 2. Learn the business process first, then SAP. Step 3. Get project exposure as early as possible. Step 4. After 1 to 2 years, add a secondary skill. Integration, data, PM. This approach keeps options open without destroying early momentum. 8. Summary of Part 2. Choosing an SAP module is not about hype, trends, screenshots of salaries. It is about mindset, responsibility, long-term positioning. A good module choice accelerates growth. A bad one slows everything down. In the next part, we'll talk about a mistake that almost everyone makes next, the certification trap. In Part 3, we will cover the certification trap. Why certificates alone can hurt your SAP career. Part 3. The certification trap. Why certificates alone can hurt your SAP career. 1. Why certifications look like the perfect shortcut. For someone new to SAP, certifications look extremely attractive. They promise a clear learning path, structured content, official validation, faster job opportunities. From the outside, the logic seems flawless. If SAP certifies me, companies will trust me. Unfortunately, SAP careers do not work that way. Certifications are not useless, but they are often misunderstood and misused. This misunderstanding creates false confidence, weak interviews, and slow career progression. 2. What SAP certifications are actually designed for. SAP certifications were not originally designed for beginners. Their main purpose is to validate knowledge after experience, standardize consultant levels, support partner requirements, help companies meet SAP partnership criteria. In many consulting firms, certifications exist because SAP requires a certain number of certified consultants. Projects demand official proof for bidding. This means certifications often serve organizational needs. not beginner learning needs. 3. The dangerous assumption. Beginners often assume, if I pass the exam, I understand SAP. This assumption is dangerous. SAP certification exams test definitions, standard scenarios, ideal configurations. Real projects rarely work in ideal conditions. In real life, requirements are incomplete. Business users change their minds. Data is inconsistent. Timelines are unrealistic. A certificate does not prepare you for this reality. 4. Why certified beginners struggle in interviews. Many beginners with certificates experience the same problem. They say, I have certificates, but interviews go badly. This happens because interviewers don't ask. Exam questions, definition-based scenarios. They ask, what happens if this process fails? How would you handle a user conflict? What risks do you see in this design? Certificates don't train you to think this way. Experience does. 5. False confidence, the hidden risk of early certifications. One of the most dangerous outcomes of early certification is false confidence. Certified beginners sometimes speak with too much certainty, underestimate complexity, resist feedback. In SAP projects, this is risky. Teams trust consultants who know what they know and clearly admit what they don't. False confidence damages trust quickly. Once trust is lost, responsibility and growth stop. 6. How companies actually view certifications. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most companies view certifications as a nice-to-have, a filter, not a guarantee, proof of effort, not expertise. Experience always outweighs certification. A consultant with 2 solid projects. No certificates is usually more valuable than 3 certificates. 0 real project exposure. 7. When certifications actually make sense. Certifications are useful at the right time. They make sense when you already worked on projects, you want to structure existing knowledge, you aim for senior or lead roles, your company requires it for promotion. At this stage, certification strengthens credibility, fills knowledge gaps, supports salary discussions. Timing is everything. 8. The right certification strategy for beginners. Instead of chasing multiple certificates early, a better strategy looks like this. Step 1. Learn business processes first. Step 2. Join real projects as early as possible. Step 3. Observe how SAP behaves in real scenarios. Step 4. Use certifications to formalize experience, not replace it. This approach avoids frustration and builds real confidence. 9. Why over-certification can slow you down. Some beginners collect certificates back to back. They become the certified one, but not the reliable one. This creates a mismatch. High expectations, low practical confidence. When pressure arrives, this gap becomes visible. Career growth slows down, sometimes permanently. 10. Certifications versus learning. A critical distinction. Certification is validation. Learning is development. SAP rewards development, not validation. If you treat certificates as proof of learning, you will struggle. If you treat certificates as confirmation of experience, they become powerful. 11. Summary of Part 3. Certifications are not the enemy, misusing them is. SAP careers grow fastest when experience comes first. Certifications support experience. Confidence is built through responsibility. In the next part, we'll talk about another major beginner mistake: avoiding real SAP projects and real responsibility. In Part 4, we will cover avoiding real projects, why playing it safe keeps you underpaid. Part 4. Avoiding real projects. Why playing it safe keeps you underpaid. 1. Why real SAP learning never happens in safe environments. Many beginners believe they are learning SAP when they complete courses, watch tutorials, practice isolated scenarios. This creates a false sense of progress. Real SAP learning does not happen in safe, controlled environments. It happens inside real projects where requirements are incomplete, timelines are tight, users are impatient, mistakes have consequences. Avoiding real projects keeps stress low, but also keeps growth low. 2. The comfort zone trap. In early SAP careers after joining their first SAP role, many beginners unconsciously choose comfort. They prefer clear instructions, repetitive tasks, limited responsibility. They avoid ambiguous requirements, direct user interaction, decision-making. This behavior feels logical early on, but in SAP, comfort has a cost. The longer you stay in low-risk tasks, the harder it becomes to move into higher responsibility roles. 3. Why projects are the real classroom. SAP is not learned linearly. You don't start at point A and move cleanly to point B. Instead, projects expose you to broken processes, conflicting stakeholder expectations, integration issues, data quality problems. Each issue forces you to understand context, ask better questions, think beyond your module. Courses teach how SAP should work. Projects teach how SAP actually works. 4. The hidden value of project chaos. Many beginners fear project chaos. They see changing scope, unclear ownership, pressure from business users. But chaos is where real consultants are formed. Chaos teaches prioritization, communication, risk assessment, decision-making under pressure. These skills cannot be learned from documentation. They are the exact skills companies pay for later. 5. Why shadow roles? Slow career growth. Some beginners stay in shadow roles for too long. They support senior consultants, fix small issues, execute predefined tasks. This phase is normal, temporarily. The mistake is staying there too long. If after 1 to 2 years you never lead a topic, never speak in workshops, never explain decisions, your profile stagnates. SAP rewards visibility of responsibility, not invisibility of effort. 6. The fear behind avoiding responsibility. Let's be honest. Most people avoid responsibility because they fear making mistakes. They fear being exposed. They fear looking incompetent. This fear is understandable, but in SAP, mistakes are expected. Silence is more dangerous than errors. Consultants who grow fastest are those who ask questions early, admit uncertainty, learn publicly. Companies prefer a consultant who flags a risk early over one who stays quiet and hopes nothing breaks. 7. How responsibility changes. How you are paid. Once you start owning topics, managers trust you. Users come to you directly. Decisions involve you. Your role shifts from someone who executes to someone who owns outcomes. This shift directly affects performance evaluations, promotion discussions, salary negotiations. Responsibility is the currency of SAP careers. 8. The myth of more time will fix it. Many consultants believe, I'll grow naturally with time. Time alone does nothing. Growth comes from exposure, decision-making, accountability. 5 years of safe tasks is still beginner-level value. 2 years of high responsibility exposure often beats 10 years of comfort. 9. How to move into real project exposure. Practically. You don't need to jump into chaos blindly. Practical steps? Volunteer for ownership of small topics. Ask to join workshops even as observer. Request exposure to testing and go-live phases. Offer to document and explain processes. These actions signal readiness. Managers notice consultants who step forward. 10. Why go-lives are career accelerators. Nothing accelerates SAP careers like go-lives. Go-lives expose you to pressure, system behavior under load, real business consequences. Consultants who survive go-lives gain confidence, gain credibility, gain leverage. Avoiding go-lives slows everything down. 11. Summary of Part 4. Avoiding real SAP projects feels safe, but safety comes at a cost. Slow growth, limited responsibility, stagnant salaries. SAP careers reward those who accept uncertainty, step into responsibility, learn under pressure. In the next part, we'll address another critical beginner mistake: failing to develop communication skills in SAP environments. Transition to Part 5. In Part 5, we will cover not learning how to communicate, the silent career killer in SAP. Part 5. Not learning how to communicate, the silent career killer in SAP. 1. Why communication matters more than you think in SAP. Many beginners believe SAP is a purely technical career. They assume, if I know the system, I'll succeed. If I configure correctly, I'll be valued. If something goes wrong, it's a technical issue. This assumption is dangerous. SAP is not just a system. SAP is a communication-heavy environment. Every SAP project involves business users, key users, managers, external consultants, auditors, IT teams. If you cannot communicate clearly, your technical skills will never fully translate into value. 2. The typical beginner communication pattern. Most beginners communicate like this. They speak in technical terms. They explain how instead of why. They avoid speaking unless asked. They hide behind documentation. This creates a gap. Business users don't think in tables, configuration paths, transaction codes. They think in delays, risks, costs, outcomes. When communication fails, trust fails. 3. Why silence is more dangerous than mistakes. Many beginners stay silent because they fear asking stupid questions, sounding inexperienced, making wrong statements. But silence creates bigger problems when you don't speak. Risks stay hidden. Wrong assumptions survive. Issues appear late. In SAP projects, late issues are expensive. Managers prefer a consultant who raises concerns early, even if unsure, over one who stays quiet until things break. 4. Translating SAP language into business language. High-value SAP consultants act as translators. They convert SAP logic, business impact, configuration, risk assessment, system behavior, decision input. For example, instead of saying, this configuration affects posting logic, say, this change can delay month-end closing if not tested properly. The second sentence creates understanding. Understanding creates trust. 5. Communication is how responsibility is assigned. Responsibility in SAP is rarely assigned formally. It is assigned informally through communication. People think, this person understands the issue. This person can explain risks. This person takes ownership. Once this perception forms, you are invited to meetings, your opinion is requested, your role expands. Communication is how careers scale. 6. Why technical excellence alone hits a ceiling. Many technically strong consultants hit a wall after a few years. They solve complex issues, deliver clean solutions, remain under-recognized. Why? Because decision makers rarely see raw technical work. They see explanations, summaries, and recommendations. If you cannot explain your work clearly, it becomes invisible. Visibility is a prerequisite for growth. 7. Meetings. The most underestimated SAP. Skill beginners often dislike meetings. They see meetings as a waste of time, non-technical, unnecessary. In reality, meetings are where scope is defined, priorities are set, responsibility is assigned. Consultants who speak clearly, summarize decisions, clarify open points, gain influence quickly. You don't need to dominate meetings. You need to add clarity. 8. Written communication. Emails, documents, and trust SAP projects run on written communication. Emails, design documents, test results, and summaries form the project's memory. Poor written communication leads to misunderstandings, blame, rework. Clear writing leads to alignment, protection, credibility. A consultant who documents clearly protects both the project and themselves. 9. Handling conflict through communication. SAP projects inevitably create conflict. Business versus IT, speed versus quality, scope versus budget. Avoiding conflict does not resolve it. Strong consultants acknowledge concerns, explain trade-offs, propose options. They don't argue emotionally, they frame decisions logically. This skill separates consultants from leaders. 10. Practical ways. Beginners can improve communication. You don't need to be charismatic. Practical steps. Summarize discussions after meetings. Ask clarifying questions. Explain impact, not steps. Practice writing short, clear emails. Small improvements compound quickly. 11. Why communication directly affects salary. As your communication improves, trust increases, responsibility increases, visibility increases. These three directly affect promotions, role scope, compensation. High salaries follow consultants who can be trusted with decisions. 12. Summary of Part 5. In SAP, communication is not optional. It is a core skill. Technical knowledge opens the door. Communication determines how far you go. In the next part, we'll address another critical mistake beginners make: having unrealistic expectations about speed and progress in SAP careers. Transition to Part 6. In Part 6, we will cover wrong expectations about speed, why most people quit SAP too early. Part 6. Wrong expectations about speed, why most people quit SAP too early. 1. The speed myth. If I'm good, I'll grow fast. One of the most damaging beliefs beginners bring into SAP is this: if I'm talented and hardworking, my SAP career will grow quickly. This belief is understandable. Many tech careers reward rapid progress. SAP, however, follows a different growth curve. SAP careers are not linear. They are layered. You don't simply get better each month. You accumulate context slowly until one day things click. Beginners who expect fast validation often misinterpret normal learning friction as failure. 2. Why SAP feels slow in the first years. SAP systems represent decades of business logic. They encode legal requirements, accounting standards, industry-specific processes, historical decisions. You are not just learning a tool. You are learning how organizations think and operate. This creates two effects early on. Progress feels invisible. Confidence grows slowly. This is not a sign you're behind. It's a sign you're learning something deep. 3. The 3 phases of an SAP career. Most successful SAP careers follow the same pattern. Phase 1. Confusion, years 0 to 2. You understand tasks, not systems. You follow instructions. You often feel lost. This phase is unavoidable. Phase 2. Structure, years 2 to 5. You see patterns, you understand dependencies, you start predicting issues. This is where confidence stabilizes. Phase 3. Leverage, years 5 plus. You control scope, you influence decisions, you choose projects. People who quit early never reach phase 2. 4. Why? Comparing yourself to others is dangerous. Beginners often compare themselves to seniors with 8 to 10 years of experience, colleagues who sound confident, online profiles with impressive titles. This comparison is misleading. You don't see how many failures they had, how long confusion lasted, how many uncomfortable projects they survived. SAP rewards survivorship. Those who stay long enough eventually separate from the crowd. 5. The hidden cost of fast SAP careers. Some people do progress quickly, on paper. They jump titles, switch companies fast, collect responsibilities early but without foundation. This creates fragility. Under pressure, gaps are exposed, decisions are weak. Trust erodes. Sustainable SAP careers are built on slow, solid foundations. 6. Why? Early frustration is a signal, not a warning. Frustration is common in SAP because systems are interconnected. Mistakes have real impact. Clarity arrives late. Many beginners interpret frustration as, "I'm not good at this." In reality, frustration often means you're touching real complexity. The absence of frustration usually means tasks are too simple, responsibility is too low. Growth happens where discomfort exists. 7. The role of patience in SAP growth. Patience in SAP does not mean passivity. It means staying engaged during confusion, asking better questions over time, accepting that mastery is cumulative. Small daily learning compounds. What feels like no progress in month 3 often becomes clarity in year 3. 8. Why quitting early is rational, but costly. From a short-term perspective, quitting SAP early makes sense. You might feel overwhelmed, underpaid, undervalued. But quitting early discards compounding knowledge. Few careers reward persistence as strongly as SAP. Those who endure the early phase often gain long-term stability, flexibility, and income. 9. Setting the right expectations from day 1. A healthier expectation looks like this. First 2 years, learning under pressure. Years 3 to 5, growing responsibility and confidence. After 5 years, leverage and choice. This expectation aligns with reality. It reduces anxiety and improves long-term decision-making. 10. Practical advice for managing the slow phase. If you're early in SAP, focus on understanding processes, not speed. Measure progress yearly, not monthly. Seek exposure, not comfort. Learn from mistakes. Openly, progress will come, but on SAP's timeline. 11. Summary of Part 6. SAP careers feel slow because they are deep. Most people quit not because they can't do SAP, but because they expect quick rewards from a long-term profession. Those who stay patient gain clarity, gain responsibility, gain leverage. In the final part, we'll bring everything together. Transition to Part 7, Final. In Part 7, we will cover what I'd do if I started SAP again, a clear beginner blueprint. Part 7. What I'd do if I started SAP again, a clear beginner blueprint. 1. Why this final part matters. If you've followed all previous parts, one thing should be clear. Most SAP career mistakes are not technical. They are strategic. People don't fail in SAP because they are incapable. They fail because they start with wrong expectations, make early decisions without context, optimize for speed instead of foundation, This final part is not theory. This is a practical blueprint. If I had to start SAP again from zero, knowing everything I know today, this is exactly how I would do it. 2. Step 1. I would stop trying to learn everything. The first thing I would do differently is this. I would stop trying to understand all of SAP. Beginners often feel pressure to know all modules, understand all integrations, follow every new trend. This creates cognitive overload and slow progress. SAP is too large to be learned horizontally. Instead, I would choose intentional limitation. I would say, for the next 12 to 18 months, this is my core area. Everything else is secondary. Depth creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. 3. Step 2. I would learn business processes before SAP screens. If I started again, I would invert how most people learn. Instead of learning transactions, memorizing configuration paths, I would first learn how a company actually operates, how money flows, how orders move, how decisions are made. SAP mirrors business reality. Without understanding the business layer, SAP feels random. Configurations feel arbitrary. Mistakes repeat. With business understanding, SAP becomes logical. Issues become predictable. Learning accelerates. I would spend time understanding why processes exist before touching how SAP supports them. 4. Step 3. I would get into real projects as early as possible. If I could start again, I would avoid one thing aggressively, staying too long in training-only environments. Courses are helpful. Sandbox systems are useful, but they do not replace projects. Projects expose you to incomplete requirements, user pressure, real consequences. If I started again, I would volunteer for testing phases, join workshops as an observer, support go-live activities, accept small ownership early. Even uncomfortable exposure is better than perfect preparation. 5. Step 4. I would focus on ownership, not tasks. Early in my career, I would shift my mindset from what tasks am I assigned to what problem am I responsible for? Ownership does not require seniority. It requires intention. Even as a beginner, I can own a small process, own a testing topic, own documentation quality. Once people associate your name with ownership, your role grows naturally. SAP careers accelerate through trust, not job titles. 6. Step 5. I would learn how to communicate value. Early, if I started SAP again, I would work on communication from day one. Not presentation skills, not charisma, but clarity. I would practice explaining impact instead of steps, summarizing risks instead of details, translating SAP language into business language. For example, instead of saying, "This configuration affects posting logic," I would say, "This change could delay month-end closing if not tested carefully." This shift alone dramatically increases perceived value. 7. Step 6. I would be patient, but not passive. Patience is often misunderstood. If I started again, I would not expect fast promotions, immediate confidence, instant recognition. But I would also not be passive. Patience means staying engaged during confusion, asking better questions over time, accepting temporary discomfort. It does not mean waiting silently, avoiding responsibility, blaming the system. SAP rewards those who combine patience with initiative. 8. Step 7. I would delay certifications until they add real value. If I could restart, I would not chase certifications early. Instead, I would gain project exposure first, understand real scenarios, identify knowledge gaps. Then I would use certifications to formalize experience, strengthen credibility, support career transitions. Certificates work best as amplifiers, not foundations. 9. Step 8. I would position myself clearly. If I started again, I would avoid being just an SAP consultant. I would define myself early as a consultant strong in a specific process, someone reliable under pressure, someone who communicates clearly. Positioning doesn't require marketing. It requires consistency. When people know what to come to you for, your career becomes directional instead of random. 10. Step 9. I would stop comparing my Chapter 1 to someone else's Chapter 10. Comparison is one of the biggest confidence killers in SAP. If I started again, I would remind myself, confusion is normal. Slow progress is expected. Mastery is cumulative. SAP careers are marathons, not sprints. The people who seem ahead today were confused once too. They just stayed. 11. The long-term perspective. Most beginners miss here is the long-term truth about SAP careers. SAP rarely makes you rich quickly, but it often makes you valuable sustainably. With time, SAP offers career stability, global mobility, freelance opportunities, consulting leverage. But only to those who survive the early phase, build depth, accept responsibility. Short-term thinking blocks long-term rewards. 12. Final summary of the entire video. If I had to summarize everything in one sentence, SAP is not hard, but it demands maturity. Those who treat SAP as a quick win, a shortcut, a purely technical skill usually struggle. Those who treat SAP as a business responsibility, a long-term craft, a trust-based career eventually succeed. If you want a clear, structured SAP career roadmap that saves you from years of trial and error, you can find it in the guide linked below. No hype, no shortcuts, just clarity.